Coming up now on Animal Outtakes,
let's go find it.
Scientists are researching how these canine sniffers can detect certain cancers, sometimes months before cancer even shows up on any tests. Inspector Planet, Dr. Tracy is out hunting for toads.
Come here, little guy. I got you. I got you.
All to test a common known theory.
Look at you guys, friends. Oh, wow, that thing can jump. Did you see that?
And it's a command every dog should know. But for some, the word come is heard as just another word and ignored. Our training expert shows us how to teach your canine this basic command.
We want to show the dog at first how to do it. Come. Good boy.
This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm Marcia Panucci. We've all heard that dogs have a keen sense of smell. In fact, it's their ability to discriminate between scents that is so amazing, actually honing in on a particular smell. Their noses are put to the test, working to sniff out drugs, explosives, and people. And a dog's nose can also detect cancer.
They love coming out here playing. The beagles come in and within 5 seconds they have it. They walk in, their nose starts going, and they're on the scent.
Their fun, playful personalities and their small size makes the beagle a popular hound dog. But it's their keen sense of smell that sets them apart from most other breeds. And that's why researchers here at BioScent DX use only beagles. Their job? To sniff out cancer. Now, what type of cancers can they detect? It's breast?
So we have dogs trained on breast. We have a group of dogs trained on lung cancer. And we're getting ready to expand into prostate, colorectal, and melanoma.
Well, those are the biggies.
Yes.
And perhaps someday there will be something for pancreatic cancer.
Yes, we definitely want to get to pancreatic and ovarian as well. The samples are harder to come by to train the dogs. It takes several samples from people to train the dogs on each type of cancer. Mm-hmm. So the rarer cancers, which unfortunately are some of the most deadly without early diagnostics, they're much harder to come by the samples for the training.
Now, you've spoken of LECOM.
Yes.
Why is LECOM interested in this?
So LECOM, it's Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I had approached LECOM, gosh, a little over a year ago I was looking for a microbiologist because our end goal is not to use the dogs as a diagnostic tool, although they're amazing at it and we're using them until we can find a better method. Our end goal is to figure out what they are smelling. And so that's where LECOM comes into play. Their microbiology department is working with us on breaking down the odors that they're smelling, and we're presenting stuff back to them to try to get to the exact thing that's causing that odor in the breath and saliva.
What got you interested in this?
So I had worked training diabetic alert dogs, and so I know how amazing they were with their scent detection, and then I had lost my father to cancer, and it was late diagnosis. You know, they just missed it, and he had transitional cell carcinoma. Had they found it early enough, they could have removed his kidney, and he would still be here today, but they didn't, and so that motivates me.
So do you think that Minnie could have been of help?
I think so.
Right now, we're just, he's looking for a sample that is from a breath sample from a lung cancer patient. So he's looking for that sample to find it, and then he'll sit when he finds it. Good boy, that was a good boy.
Training starts at a young age, and these pups are on the right track, learning to distinguish between a certain scent that is unique to cancer.
So these are like where saliva samples are stored. Mm-hmm. So we would, take these and you would put them in a syringe. So you take the lid off, and you put it down in, and they go in a syringe, and then this thaws out for like 10 minutes, and then we put it out for them to smell.
Working with students and staff from LECOM, they are hoping to find exactly what the dogs are smelling.
We need to get the dog to identify the sample that contain cancer. Then we take that sample and we fractionate it, means we break it down into little components. We are hoping to find the exact group of chemicals that the dogs are actually sniffing, because after we fractionate the samples, we bring them back to the dogs. We take the positive sample, we break down again further. And our hope when we find those chemicals is to create something that is very much similar to a pregnancy test that we can use to, to detect cancer as early as possible. The key to treatment of cancer, successful treatment of cancer, is early detection. If we can do that, that will be the best thing we can hope for.
Do they ever make a mistake?
Sometimes dogs do make mistakes. They're not robots. So what we do when we're doing a clinical trial and we're testing, say we're testing a sample from someone who does not know if they have cancer or not, and we're trying to see if the dogs are detecting anything, we use 3 to 5 dogs on every sample. And so we look for a correlation. So we're using the dogs, we're using breath and saliva, and so we would cross-reference that.
And you can help out the study by testing yourself.
Any woman who is at high risk of developing breast cancer or might have a family history or is just very concerned about it, and they're able to go there and to order a test kit. It's part of a research study that we're doing. So we would send you a test kit out. You would simply fill the paperwork out, breathe into the mask, the saliva, and there's an envelope that you mail it back to us. Once the test comes back, we run it through the dogs, we print a report, and we send the report back to you and to your physician. At that point, because it is a research study, we like to follow up with you a year later and then 8 months after that. You're probably wondering, like, why 18 months out? What happens, there's been studies found where dogs found cancer 18 months before mammograms. So we like to track out that far or a little bit further just to see how accurate the dogs are.
So really, how accurate are these noses?
As far as the dogs detecting the cancer sample, until now our success rate was about 98%.
Well, I'd say that's pretty good.
That is damn good.
You can help with this scientific research. Anyone can be a part of the study. All you need to do is order a test kit, give a sample, send it back, and the dogs can train on it. Results are mailed back to you and your healthcare provider. If you would like more information on how you can help these dogs sniff out cancer, visit their website. Stay with us. More Animal Outtakes is coming up next.
So are these bumps actually warts? Are they contagious? Can I be putting warts all over my hand right now? Well, we're gonna find out.
Top Dog 2018 is almost here. Get ready for an afternoon of fashion, fur, and fun. This year's event will be a brunch hosted outdoors on beautiful Sarasota Bay at the Van Wezel. Enjoy a fabulous canine fashion show featuring local boutiques. Plus, you can join in the fun. Enter you and your pup in one of our crazy categories, Best Dress and Best Kisser. Go to topdogsrq.org for tickets and information.
People have asked me what it'll cost to restore all the corals back the way they remember. But I have to ask them, what will it cost if we don't do anything?
You can be sure your furry friend continues to be loved and cared for even when you can no longer be there for them. Dante's Den provides a permanent, loving home for dogs whose owners have set up a lifetime care program for their beloved companion. We honor the trust placed in us by providing loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN. Dante's Den, continuing the love. Science is everywhere, and it's all around us. It's observing the world, forming questions, and the willingness to find the answers. It's something our Inspector Planet does every day, and you can too.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Finara, an environmental engineer, meaning that I use different scientific disciplines to protect the environment, humans, and wildlife. At Mote Marine Laboratory, I answer questions through investigation and myth-busting. So this past weekend, I was supposed to go to a pool with my best friend. She couldn't go because she said she had a wart. She was pretty embarrassed about it, but I asked her where the heck she got a wart from. She claims that she stepped on a toad. Now, I've heard this saying before that if you touch a toad, you can get warts, but I have my doubts on that. This is an easily testable hypothesis. So let's go find ourselves a toad. A toad is a type of frog with rough, leathery skin. It has some bumps, and these bumps are what people think will give you warts if you touch them. In order to test our hypothesis, we need to understand what a wart is. A wart is a small, flesh-colored round growth, most commonly found in people's hands and feet. The virus that causes a wart is the human papilloma virus, often called HPV. So if a toad can give us warts, then you should find that virus on their skin. We're going toad hunting! If I were a toad, I'd be in here. There's a lot of water, there's plant life, there's places to hide. I think I see one. Oh man, did you see that? After some searching and a couple of misses, I found just what we needed. Come here, little guy. I got you. I got you. I got you. Oh, you are so cute. You are so cute. All right, let's take you back to the lab. So we got our frog. We're gonna do some testing. And this guy has lots of warts. So what we are going to look for is HPV, the virus that causes warts to be contagious. Hey, little guy. So all we're going to do is gently scrape cells off his back. Okay. What a good patient he is. See that? He didn't even jump. First thing that we're going to do is wash this off with vinegar to see if anything turns white, to give us any indication of HPV. That's what they do at the gynecologist's office when they're looking at HPV in cervical cells, and that's what we're going to try to do with this toad. So right now we're rinsing our spatula with vinegar to see if anything turns white from the virus, and we are not seeing that. So the next thing we're going to do is take a sample of his cells and look for any abnormalities that can indicate HPV. All right, so we have a lot of dirt here, and frog cells look pretty darn cool. However, I'm not seeing anything that would indicate HPV. Let's take it down to immunology to do a DNA test to make sure that we don't have any HPV here. The results are in, and it turns out our toad does not have human papillomavirus, which is what HPV stands for. So it is a human transmitted virus, cannot be transmitted by warts. In fact, the bumps on this toad's back are not warts at all. They're actually glands that in some cases they can secrete a poison for their enemies, which can cause skin irritation for humans. Now, you might not get warts from a toad, but you might not want to get up close and personal. Don't lick a toad because there are bacteria and viruses that can exist in natural water bodies that you might not want to ingest. To me, worth it. To you, probably not. What the test did show is that these guys aren't the cleanest. There's a number of different bacteria and virus that exist in natural water bodies that attach to the toad's back or are in the water that the toad likes to hang out in. So, might not want to lick them. All right, little guy, it's time to let you go. Actually, that's another experiment. Remember guys, anybody can be a scientist or an engineer with some passion, hard work, and an innate curiosity of how the world works. Go! Be free! Be free!
Another myth busted by our Inspector Planet. Again, Dr. Tracy says while you would not get a wart from handling a toad, you could get sick. It can even be deadly for your pets if they ingest certain toads. So it's best to wash your hands after you handle any animal. Coming up next on Animal Outtakes,
Good boy.
school is in session and your pooch is already teacher's pet. But will he be a star student? With some tips and tricks, he can be. Stay with us. A well-behaved dog is essential to you and your pet's safety. And let's face it, a good dog is just nicer for everyone to be around. The key? Regular training. So Jesse, I have a problem. I have a puppy. He loves his home, he loves everything, and he sits down and he watches me, and I tell him, come, and he turns around and he runs the opposite way, and if a door was open, he's gone. What do I do?
Yeah, you know, come is one of the most important commands that we teach because of the safety aspect and because a lot of people get frustrated when their dogs, they want to be able to take them off leash, but they can't come back, or even in the house. I always tell people off leash includes in the house. If they're in the other room getting into something and you say come, if they don't want to, they're not going to. So the way we teach it, we teach everything kind of the same. We teach dogs how to do it. We use rewards, typically food. If we have a young dog like a puppy, what we'll do is we usually start with their meals because it gives you, you're going to feed them anyway, it gives you some repetitions, and we just show them what come means, right? Just say come, I have the food, you want to come to the food, so come doesn't really mean anything yet. You're just hearing it. Every time you do, you get fed, you get rewarded, and then you start showing them, all right, here's come. So when we're working with the come, we want to show the dog at first how to do it. Come, good boy. And the reason I have the leash on him is I always want to set him up for success. So we do it kind of close when we have his attention. We show him how to do it. Come. Good boy. And then later on, when we add distance, we'll go into something like a long line or something that we can have him be distracted and running around and then work him on the come. So we start with showing him how to do it and then we make him do it, and that's why we have the leash. Hey, Jack, come. Good boy. So the progression has to be, show you how to do it first, right? Here's how you come. Because a lot of dogs don't necessarily know what the word means. Just like sit or lie down. They don't know it until we teach it. Good boy. Come. Good. And the leash is nice and loose. And if I need to use it, I can make it tight. Come. Good boy. Nice job. Good boy. So it's always loose unless we're communicating with it. Sit.
We've heard that, of course, the educational part of a dog, the mental capacity, is about the age of a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old. When do they finally get it? When can you cut out the treats and know that when you give that command, come, they're going to come?
Yeah, so that's why we use the leash, and that's why we go so many different places, right? So you have the leash on, you show them you have to do it. The easiest thing for you to do when I say come is come to me. Nothing else is going to work. At home, at the vet, at the park, at the store, everywhere. Because if you only do it at home, where there's no distractions, it's easy. I can come because there's nothing else going on. As soon as we get outside, as soon as I run through that door, as soon as we get out into the field, I don't want to come because there's so much other stuff. So we show them, even out there, you have to. Right? You don't have to pay them every time with food or a toy, but every time you have to be black and white.
So we know that there are several commands that are very important, but would you say this is about number one,
yeah,
come?
Absolutely.
For more training tips or to have a trainer work with you and your dog, log on to theupbeatcanine.com. Thinking about declawing your cat? Well, let's ask the vet what he thinks about it. We're going to tackle a very controversial problem that we see with the cats and also certain dogs for cropping of the ears, cropping of the tails, but on the cats, declawing.
Declawing.
All right, doctor, what do you suggest?
Well, I owned a cat hospital for 15 years, so I might be a little biased, but declawing certainly is a procedure that's commonly done. It's actually illegal in many countries around the world, illegal in the United Kingdom, many parts of Europe. Still legal, certainly here in the United States. Even the AVMA, the American Veterinary Medical Association, does not oppose it. But they say that, of course, the veterinarian should counsel all the pros and cons and maybe alternatives to clients before they go ahead and do declawing. But it's an amputation of the distal digit. And here, my wonderful artwork, if you can focus in on the artwork, they have 3 fingers, or 3 bones in their finger, just like us. Phalanges, 1, 2, and 3, just like we have 3 phalanges. We call it P1, P2, and P3. Now P3 is really, largely, well, it's really small bone. I've kind of accentuated the diagram, but it's a bone where the claw grows from. And so to declaw, you have to literally amputate the last piece of bone, the last digit. So it is an amputation, and there's different ways it can be done. My dotted line here shows the technique I used to use, where you cut and you leave the very basic, the bottom of the bone that connects to the flexor tendon here. The flexor tendon allows you to do this with your fingers. So if you cut off just most of the bone, then the nail won't regrow because it grows from the bone, but then you leave intact the flexor tendon so they can do that, so they still have normal activity. Now, there is a procedure that I don't agree with myself called a tendinotomy, where they literally just cut the flexor tendon. It's a less invasive surgery. They go in and just, it's smaller incision, cut the tendon, but then your cat can never do that. And then they can never exercise their claws and get rid of the old sheaths, because the nail grows kind of from the inside out, and when they exercise and scratch, they're marking territory, but they're also getting rid of the old sheaths. So if you do a tendinotomy, you're always forever having to trim the nails because the cat won't get rid of the old sheaths very well, so you have to trim them all the time, and I'll show you how to trim here. This is the clipper I like the best for cats.
Okay.
It goes like this, okay? So, and it takes 2 people in general to trim nails, but if you've got a good cat, it's pretty easy to do, and you don't go all the way back to the pink, of course, but training your cat to have their nails trimmed as a kitten would be great. And I tell people that all the time, like brush their teeth when they're kittens, get them used to that, trim their nails, clean their ears, so they're not hard to work with. But a lot of people adopt older cats, have never been worked with, and you can get shredded like crazy by a cat who's not used to having their feet worked with. Now, so trimming the nails would be the best thing. You have to do them very regular, though, probably every week or two. They grow fast.
I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times in your practice. This is cruel. This is very cruel. And I know that if we take it to the dog side, where I've always had schnauzers, and so the breeders will tell, oh, you have to have the ears cropped. I don't. The tail docking, I know that that's what you can do that when they're, what, a day or two early. Well,
they do it like 2 or 3 days old, they dock
and
tails.
so that's not going to hurt them. But the ear cropping is also
another. Ear cropping is considered, pretty much inhumane by most vets. There's no medical reason to do it, really. I mean, there are some old-time reasons, but we don't do it. Of course, there's no medical reason to do declaws on cats. It's for us. It's not a pro thing for a cat. To declaw, and it's an amputation. If it's done properly, though, with a good surgeon and lots of pain medicine, it's not that horrible of a thing, and they can run around in a day or two like nothing happened. And it's really complicated, and we don't have time to get into all the issues, but it's becoming less and less accepted, but most veterinarians in general still do it, and I would recommend only the fronts and never the rears.
I think we'll just stick with the pedicure. Great advice from the doc as usual. We hope you have fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.
Look at you guys, friends. Oh,
there we go.
Wow, that thing can jump. Did you see that? That was amazing.
I don't know where it went.
That was amazing, see? I guess we're testing the toad. Hello, buddy. We really are best friends, huh?